What is an interval? Well, with an interval, we can run a function after a certain amount of time, like say 1 second, and we can do that repeatedly. So every 1 second, the function will run. There's also a setTimeout, which runs only once after a certain amount of time. So let's go into code and check that out. Dump, intervals and timeouts. So that looks like this. Set interval, and in these two round brackets, we pass in two parameters. The first one is the function that we want to run. We'll call a function message. And the second is how long do we want to wait each time. So how about 500 milliseconds? That's in milliseconds. So there we are. And setInterval, by the way, belongs to Windows. So window.setInterval would also work. So it's a method on the window, which is the global object, and therefore we don't have to put it if we don't want to. Okay, now the function message, and we will zog round brackets quote message. Why don't we put in a little counter so we can see a different message each time? Var count. This isn't necessary for the interval, but we'll just start this at 0. And in here we will say count plus plus semicolon, and here we will say let's append concatenate plus count. So now we should see a different message every 500 milliseconds. We save that and view it in a browser, and F12 to see our console. Message 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, look at them go. Okay, so every 500 milliseconds that function is being run. Alrighty, now say we wanted to stop that interval after a certain number of times. So we can say if count is greater than or equal to 5, then we will say clear interval, like so. But we can't just say clear interval, we have to pass in an ID. So we get the ID like this, var interval, or whatever variable we want to use for that, is equal to the results of this set interval, which will give you an ID to place right in here, like so. Clear interval, that ID. All right, so if we're greater than or equal to 5, it won't say the message. And we save that and refresh here. Refresh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's see, why did it say 5? Count plus plus count is greater than, oh, it doesn't stop this. It just clears the interval so it will not run again. Right, so it's not, if we wanted to stop this and clear the interval, I guess we would either reduce the number to 4 there, or we would say return. Just watch that. We put it after. Don't put the return before the clear interval, because then that interval would keep on going, and that's just a bit of a memory leak. All right, now we would not see 5, okay, because we returned after we cleared the interval. Do you see what I mean? If we put the return in front of this, have we ever cleared the interval? No, we would never run that code. So therefore we get this interval constantly going for no reason. Okay, that is an interval. Let's try a timeout. Come back down here, and a timeout looks like this. Set timeout, lowercase o, and in round brackets we can do the same. What we often do is call a function literal in here, so that is function. Like so. Now when we do that, we're so used to events where the function is the last parameter in the event call, like an on click, we would call the function. But don't forget, with an interval and a timeout, comma, the amount of time. So say 1,000 milliseconds, that's 1 second, semicolon. Okay, is that clear? So this is the first parameter, and we need a second parameter. And we could do that up here as well. We could put a function literal in here, and then 500 is the second parameter. Let's just comment that out so we don't get confused. And And in our set timeout, we will, how about zog timeout? Timeout. So now this should run after 1 second. So we save that, view it in the window. Are you ready? Waiting, waiting, there it is. Refresh, waiting, waiting, there it is. Now it may be that in your timeout, say you want to give somebody a certain amount of time to accomplish a task. And if they don't accomplish the task in that time, like solve the puzzle, then they die. So you might want to make it, you might want to clear the timeout as well and that would happen later, I suppose, probably not in here. Sometime later, they're pressing a button. They finally press the button that they're supposed to. You want to clear this timeout. Then you would have to store it in a var timeout is equal to that. And then sometime later, you could say clear timeout if they solve the puzzle, and pass it that timeout, like so. And that would clear the timeout, so they would no longer die. Yay! Oh, you're so good to people. I am inventor Dan Zen with a What Is from zimjs.com. Have a great day.